Hey everyone. Well, first of all, thanks for attending. Vicky's just sent me a message saying, yeah, we should start. So, and I'm just looking at the list here. So we've got Andrea, Bina, Karen, Mary Jane, Sarah, Vivian, Zoe. I think that's everybody. But thanks again for attending today. What I wanted to do and what we wanted to do is talk about Sage Employee Benefits. I'm guessing you're potentially already customers, or you're already on the free trial, or potentially you're a potential customer. And what I want to talk about really today is about the product. And really it's the critical thing is not about what the product is, but what it does. And it's about what it does for your business. And that's you as if you're a business owner, but also if you're an employee. And employee benefits platforms have been the preserve of large businesses for a number of years, and it's all about bringing and aggregating a whole load of benefits together in one place. But the question is, and the key part of today is discussing, well, why do businesses bring those things to their employees? What does it do for the business, and what does it do for the employees? So Pam, if you can click forward a slide. Great. So you can see some of the stats that we've got on the page there, but really what it's about is fundamentally is helping businesses both attract, retain, and develop employees. And really it's about getting best productivity from employees. And you'll see lots of stuff. We refer in personal group to our platform as Happy, and it's the same platform that is used for Sage Employee Benefits. The underlying concept being, and it's a bit twee, I know, but if you've got happy employees and you've got a happy business as a result of that, you're going to have a more productive business. And the more productive the business is, the better it is for the bottom line of the business. So in reality, yes, it is looking after employees, it's looking after their well-being, it's looking after, both the physical, the mental, the financial, all the things that you can do to support them, but all with the intended outcome of that they will be more engaged with the business. When they're there, they're feeling happier about being at work. And if they're happier about being at work, then they're going to be more productive. And that makes for a better working environment, but also, just as importantly, it's better for the bottom line and better for the individual employees. So that's the background to it. That's the fundamental concept. You can see some of the stats there. One study reported that 97% of staff surveys say they believe that their employers' responsibility to support mental health and well-being of their staff. There's a lot of that in the press. I'm not going to go into kind of the detail. We all know, I think, what's going on at the minute, but it is it's a very critical time at the minute for those kind of things that come to the fore. That supporting staff with their mental health is great. It's very important for the individuals, but also has a benefit to the business. So Pam, if you can skip forward again. Again, a few more stats here. Just to the point about productivity. The numbers are, and you can see the links to the sources on here as well. That if you've got an engaged business, if you've got people engaged with their business, you'll see a significant reduction in absenteeism, and a 17% increase in productivity, increased customer service ratings, reduction in staff turnover, and when you're looking to attract more staff, then if you've got happy employees, they're more likely to recommend where they work to others, to their friends, to their families who also go and work there. So again, it's all about benefits platforms help businesses attract, retain, and engage and motivate their staff. That's fundamentally what it's about. Pam, you can click on again. Now this is if you can click through it, so it does the full slide build. This is an interesting one. Part of our business and personal group is we're actually is a company called Inecto, and what they do is they look at the lifetime value, if you like, of an employee. Pam, if you can click through so that everything's showing on the slide. Yeah, just build everything on the slide there. So what this slide is showing is what the ideal a typical employee is sort of the grey lump you can see there. So, employee joins, they're off the blocks, accelerating, getting up to pace, and what that means is getting, familiar with the business, getting to, work within the business, becoming efficient at what they do as their job in their new role. And that will occur for a period of time, and then typically at some point, an employee will decide to leave. When they make the decision to leave in their own heads, what will then typically happen is their productivity will drop off a little bit, the output will fall down, slowly decline until they exit the door. Now, of course, this is not saying that having an employee benefits platform is something that means that you should keep all your staff forever, because, I think we all recognise that, a reasonable level of staff turnover is often a good thing. You need to bring fresh blood into a business, new ideas and new thinking and so on. And it's perfectly natural for people to move on, to develop their careers and so on. But what you want to do, if you can achieve it, is then what the yellow shaded area looks around it, is that you want to have a situation where you get the employees up to speed and as productive as they can, as quickly as you can. You want to keep that level of productivity higher if you can do that. And then if you can, and they're good employees, you want to keep them, you extend the period of time before they take that decision to leave. And then when they do that, take that decision to leave, then obviously, relatively speaking, ideally, you think they go quicker, because as the productivity falls, you want to then be thinking about how you replace them. And this is a concept that we work with in the business all the time. It's how do we bring things to employers that they can give to their employees that effectively moves the productivity of that employee from that grey area to that orange yellow area. It's all about extending, both increasing their productivity and extending their period of time with the business. So this is all about, hopefully you're getting the sense of it, it's about extending their productivity within your business. Pam, if you can click through. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is three areas really of Sage Employee Benefits. So we'll talk a little bit more now about the product and specifically how the product helps your business and the employees in the areas. We're going to talk about health and well-being, employee recognition, and then some of the savings aspects. So, and you'll see the things, the little words in yellow there at the bottom. It's all about, our tagline is be well, do well. And it works at all levels. If individuals are well in themselves, both, physically, mentally, financially, then that means that they're going to do well and more likely to do well at work. And if all of your employees are in that mindset of wellness, then your business will do well as well. So it's, be well, do well is one of the taglines that we use internally as a business. If you can click forward. Thank you. So we've got a number of things that we have in the product to help with these areas. So from a mental well-being perspective, we've got the EAP line, the confidential support line. We've got the on-demand GP. We've got Happy Life, for those of you who've seen it, it gives advice on health and well-being. We've then got the financial stuff around retail discounts, gym discounts, etc. Social stuff around, reward and recognition, the discounts related to that. Gyms fall into that category as well. And then some of the physical stuff, which is things like cycle to work, as well as the gyms, and again, the on-demand GP. So over the next few slides, I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail as to what those are, and what those do for you as a business, and also for your employees. So Pam, if you can click through it, thank you. So the confidential support line, the critical thing here is that, when you've got an employee that's got a concern out of work on their mind while they're in work, it's going to stop them from being as productive or as engaged with the business as ideally you would like them to be. So, if they're worrying about, for example, I had a bereavement earlier in the year, and it's understandable that that's going to take mental space, at any time of the day. You might think about that bereavement. It's going to be, you're going through a grief cycle, etc. That means, at work, you're going to be distracted, and it's understandable. if you're having, you know, a relationship problem, if you're getting divorced or you're splitting apart, you know, from your partner, if you've got a legal dispute with your neighbour over a boundary that they put a fence up where they shouldn't do, whatever it is, all those kind of issues, if you like, that we all have from time to time in our lives, is going to take time away. It's going to take headspace from us. It's going to mean that we're not as engaged at work as ideally we would like to be. And certainly as an employer, we want everybody engaged, but also as an employee, you know, most employees, I would argue, would feel that they do want to be as productive as possible and they don't want to be distracted by work. So the whole concept of having a 24/7 confidential support line is that your employees can call this. It is confidential. So, you know, as you know, if you're the business owner, you don't get any information back from us, from the product, to tell you who's been calling and what they've been calling about. But the service is available there. They can call any time of the day or night about any issue that they've got. It's provided by a very large provider that we work with and I've worked with for a number of years that support millions of people across the UK with this service and get that support. And, you know, they'll get, you know, they can speak to specialist individuals who specialise in the particular area of issue that the employee's got. And also the product also includes counselling as well. So as well as having the phone line that the individuals can call, if the person on the end of the phone deems that the issue actually does mean that the employee would benefit from some what would have been face-to-face counselling, now obviously over the telephone or over things like Zoom or WebEx like this, then it also includes that facility as well. And you can see there some of the stats there, you know, and as I mentioned earlier, we all know this at the minute with mental health, but 70 million working days are lost each year. So as well as the individual being under stress, you know, trying to deal with these issues mentally, they're also not going to be at work potentially because of that, and that's going to cause you a productivity issue. So you as an employer offering them an EAP service through Sage Employee Benefits means that at any point in time, they can call this phone line, they can get support, and potentially deal with the issues quicker than they would normally if they didn't make that phone call. That means their mental health potentially is more protected than having not made that phone call, but also that they're more likely to be in work the next day than not, and that's going to be better for you. You know, one of the things that just sharing something personally, as well as working at a personal group in conjunction with Sage, I used to own a children's nursery, and you know, if we had people off sick there, you know, some of the nursery nurses that are off sick, then I would have to pay for staff cover, which is very expensive in that setting, because often you know, as many of you realise, you have to have the right proportion of staff to children. So having people off work, you know, often, you know, for certain businesses, what that means is they have to get temporary cover in that's expensive. So not only are you losing the productivity of the individual's suffering and trying to deal with issues in their life, but also actually as a business, it's costing you more money to get cover if you need to have that cover as well. Okay, Pam, do you want to flip forward? On-demand GP, really the concept behind this actually is very analogous with the EAP. It's the same idea. You know, we all know today, you know, especially today, getting time in front of your GP can be difficult. The average wait time in the UK at the minute is about 2 weeks for a GP appointment. And often to get that GP appointment, you know, your GP is going to be typically near where you live, which may not be near where you work, which means that you then may have to take, you know, half a day or a day's leave to then go and see your GP. If you need to do that as an employee, you might not be being paid. Or if you are being paid, then your business is, you know, again, just like the EAP issue, either the business will be suffering a loss of productivity while you're away and might need to get cover for you, and that's more costly. So the whole concept behind the on-demand GP is that the individual employee can pick up the phone, book an appointment, often at a really short notice. You know, they might only have to wait, you know, an hour or two to actually speak to a GP while they're at work, that conversation, and start dealing with that medical issue that they may, you know, that they think they may have. The great thing about it as well is, yes, it is a private service. So what that means is if the GP does prescribe some sort of medication as a private prescription, but what it means is that they can often then pick it up that same day So, you know, the service, the provider that we work with, they will deliver that prescription to the choice of chemist of the individual they're speaking to. So they'll send it to the nearest Boots or the nearest local chemist or wherever the individual employee needs it and can go and pick it up. And most of the time, the most typical medications that you would have on prescription, they're often less than £10 anyway. So it's often around, saying, you know, around the same price as an NHS prescription for the product. But also, if you do speak to an on-demand GP on that service, and they do think it's something that you need to be physically examined, then they will suggest to you that they will refer the employee directly to their GP. It's great, and it can be used by the individual employee, but it also can be used, you know, the Sage Employee Benefits can also be used by their partners and other dependents in the household as well. So it's great that benefit as part of the Sage Employee Benefits product is not just about the employee, but it can also be extended to members of their household as well. And as I said, it's just like EAP, it helps avoid them taking time off to go and see their GP. It helps their stress and anxiety of, oh my God, I've got to wait 2 weeks before I can see my GP about this, when actually I know I can now pick up, instead I can just pick up the phone, call this number, use this app, and speak to somebody really, really quickly about the concern that I've got. Okay, thanks, Pam. If we then talk a little bit more about health and wellbeing, there's the gym membership offer. So that's a key part of the Sage Employee Benefits product. We work with all the big gym groups across the UK, and also some of the independents as well. And if you go onto the app and you go through to the gym area, you'll see that there's over 3,000 gyms across the UK where typically we'll guarantee the lowest corporate rate. So what that means is that, you know, typically if you're a bigger business, you will often work with a gym group that's near the building or near the buildings of that big business to get a discounted rate. What this means is actually, you know, if you're an employee, you may or may not want to go to that gym because you may want to go to a gym near where you live rather than where you work. This gives you the ability to get those cheaper rates at those local gyms the business that you work for may not have a relationship with. Also, you'll find on there's vouchers for some of the gyms to invite family and friends as well. So, and you can use that on new and existing memberships. So if you've got an existing membership where you're paying full rate for your gym membership, you can walk into your gym and say, actually, I've now got this voucher. Can I switch to this rate, please? Of course, you know, the obvious point is gyms are just about to close again. So, you know, I understand that, you know, that's very stressful for anybody. But, you know, as soon as we're back down out of lockdown and people can go back to gyms, then this is an important thing that they can save some money on their memberships, which, you know, for some of the gyms, as many of you will know, can be quite expensive. We've also got the resource Happy Life. That's sort of a general resource. You know, I kind of joke that it's a bit kind of like the obvious stuff of, you know, drink a little bit less alcohol, don't smoke, and do a bit more exercise. Of course, it is that, but actually there's a lot more detail in there than that. And there's regular postings in there, blogs and information and articles on things to think about. And that's something that's available, you know, obviously 24/7 as a website. People can just use and see what articles are up there and check facts and so on. Thanks, Pam. Now, another part of the product is around reward and recognition. And this is about, back to the engagement point, you know, there's nothing as powerful really as a thank you, as a face-to-face thank you within a business. But often as businesses get bigger or get more complex, another way of recognizing employees, especially if you want it more publicly recognized, is to use a more formal reward and recognition. In Sage Employee Benefits, we have a whole section of the platform and of the app that does this. And this is what this does is it allows employees to send electronic thank you cards to each other. So as well as that face-to-face piece, they can send it electronically. And what's important about that is it appears on the Wall of Fame. So then all your other employees can see that Ashley thanked Vicky and Pam to get the presentation up on screen. You can also optionally add funds to that. So as well as sending just an electronic card that says thank you, you can send a monetary amount with it as well through the platform. And the recipient of that monetary amount can then spend it through the retailers on the platform. And you can see the key stat there, high recognition companies have 31% lower voluntary turnover than companies with a poor recognition culture, and the sources at the bottom of the slide there. It does, we use it internally within the business here, and I can't tell you how beneficial it is and how heavily used it is. As I say, there's nothing like saying face-to-face thank you to somebody, but that making that recognition more publicly, sort of visible to other employees also benefits the employee being sent, who's had that thank you message given to them. So, this is something that an awful lot of businesses use these days, especially larger businesses, and it's something that we believe should be available in all businesses. It will depend on your culture, how much you use it, and as you can see on the bullets there, you can use it for things like long service awards as well, or if you want to give a monetary award to somebody who's been, who's done their 5-year service or their 10-year service or whatever. You can also use the platform to do that, and that enables them, as I say, to check out and spend their award on the retailer of their choice. So that's something that I think, and research proves it, that if you use it to engage employees, you do get better outcome in terms of their engagement with the business. Okay, cycle to work. Most of you, I suspect, will be aware of this because it is something that's been running for a long time by the government. It's a scheme where effectively an individual can go and get a bicycle in a tax efficient way. It should be used for at least part of their journey to work, but I'm not sure how often the government really checks that. And as you can see there, the stat, if you're aware of this scheme already, because effectively it's taken as a gross deduction from an individual salary, then effectively they could, if they're a high tax rate payer, you can save up to 42% because it's the tax rate plus the national insurance, and it's on the bikes and on the equipment. And of course, the government really heavily supports this because of the physical fitness that it promotes. It is a great scheme. It's been heavily used recently. You've probably seen it in the press that people like Evans and Halfords have been, over the last few months ran short on bikes because things got very busy because everybody wanted to cycle to work. It is something that you don't have to switch on in the platform. It is something optional. And the reason for that is that, we recognize that lots of small businesses, because you're paying for the businesses effectively paying for the bike up front with cash. If all of your employees said, yeah, I'll have a £1,000 bike, please, that would cause you a cash flow issue. Some businesses are okay with that. Other businesses are not. It depends on the type of business you are, the kind of cash flow situation you're in, which is why we make it optional. But it is something there. So, this is where Sage Employee Benefits is, the idea is to fully support this government scheme that gives this tax benefit as well as the health and wellness benefit. And of course, back to the reason for doing this, if you've got a healthier workforce, they're more likely to be at work. And if they're more likely to be at work, they're going to be more productive and more successful as a business. Okay, okay, the retail discounts, I could bore you for hours on this because it is an area that we focus a lot on because we have to spend a lot of time talking to retailers, integrating platforms and so on. But it is something where if you use it and you use it regularly, you can save, approaching £1,000 a year for the average employee on an average UK salary. For those of you who've got the product already, you've probably seen it. We do get offers from the retailers where they increase the discount. So we've had some increased discounts recently on the supermarkets and Currys BC World and so on. A lot of the retailers now offer them as electronic vouchers, and the electronic vouchers can often be used instantly while you're in store. And to that end, one of the things that Sage Employee Benefits as a product does, the platform does, which is a nice little feature, is it actually has location aware push notifications. So what that means is if you're stood and browsing in B&Q, your phone can ping you, and Sage Employee Benefits sends you a message that says, hey, Ashley, looks like you're in B&Q. Don't forget, while you're in here, you can save 5% instantly. And it's literally as quick as you get to the checkout, you see the total price, you can punch it into the app, press a button, get the barcode, and the person behind the till, the cashier, just scans the barcode, and you've paid for your products with your discount included. Some of the retailers only have physical gift cards, and we supply those as well. Obviously, you order them and they get delivered to the post. And some retailers have both physical gift cards and e-vouchers. As I say, they can save you significant amounts of money, especially at this time of the year. Things go pretty much nuts. You know, we see it across all our platforms. The expenditure goes to the roof. The popular one, our most popular retailer, is Currys PC World. It's coming up to Black Friday. You know, to get an extra 7, 8, 9% off that TV that you're already getting discounted during Black Friday, whatever it is a huge benefit. And you know, we see some of the really big employers that we work with. You know, their employees in total often save millions of pounds through these discounts that the retailers offer. So, you know, the last thing I guess I'll say on this is that, you know, the great thing is on Sage Employee Benefits is that you can also invite your partner to these savings as well. So, you know, I know from my personal perspective, I'm not the managing director of my household. You know, it's my partner that spends more money than I do. And looking after kids, all the shopping, and all that kind of stuff, and having the ability to invite her to participate in those savings and discounts is really, really important. And so, you know, they don't get to see some of the other things in Sage Employee Benefits, like the reward and recognition, for example, the cycle to work, because they're not actually employees, but they will get access to all the savings and discounts for all the retailers. So, you know, if you're already a customer of those, I'd recommend that you haven't used it. And it's, you know, what we find is it's getting people over that first hurdle of using them for the first time, especially the e-vouchers. You know, you're standing there thinking, is this going to work, etc. But once you've used it once, you've realised just how easy it is. It was only 2 days ago that, you know, that I had to buy a new TV because my TV at home died from Currys PC World. It was great to know that I could just use the vouchers and make the savings. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So if we go back to kind of the principles of, you know, what is the purpose of Sage Employee Benefits, and it is all about the benefit to you as a business through the engagement of your employees. The more engaged they are, the more that they use the products like the EAP, like the on-demand GP, the less time they're likely to be off work. If they're looking after themselves physically and mentally as well, they're more likely to be more productive at work. And, you know, the great thing is in the product, you can actually see some of those usage metrics as well. So, you know, you can see the information about how people are using the reward recognition. You can see information about how often people are logging on, what are they looking at, how much is being spent with the retailers. So you can start to see your engagement with that. So one of the things that I would say is, you know, we obviously provide the platform. We do a lot of marketing of the platform, a lot of marketing of the offers to your employees around it. But also, you know, it's as much your responsibility to help your employees get as much out of it as they can too. So, you know, in the business, it's really important that you spread the message of, hey, look, guys, we've got this product, we bought this product for you. These are the kind of benefits you can get from it. You know, here's the money that you can save on the discounted retailer vouchers. Here's the EAP if you need some support. Here's the video GP service, you know, if you can't get a doctor's appointment, and so on. You know, it's really valuable stuff. And you can measure, you know, you can see the measurable benefits of that in your business. If you can click through. And yeah, this is just a little bit more detail on that. You know, I think, you know, back to the talking about the graph earlier, you know, what we want everybody to think about is if providing these services just helps that little bit more in terms of reducing absenteeism. While they're at work, they're more mentally and physically present. They're more productive. You can get them more productive in total, but also retain those employees a little bit longer as well by keeping them happy. Then overall, the employee lifetime value, the analysis of the value of those employees to you as a business is going to increase. Yeah, as you can see, Sam, I'm moving the slide up there. You know, that's going to ultimately mean that your business is more productive. And if your business is more productive, then it's going to be more successful and more profitable. And, you know, that's what we're all. Okay. If you can click through to the next one, which I think is the last slide. Or not. Can you click through? Great, thank you. So that's all I wanted to say today, really. Hopefully it's given you a good overview of the product. And as I keep wanting to reiterate, it's not about what's, you know, the individual features of the product. It's about what those things do for your business. It's what's the benefit of those individual items to your business, and what's the benefit to your individual employees as well. So what I wanted to do now was pretty kind of open it up for any questions, anything that any of you want to ask me. So just bringing up the chat.
So we have had a couple of questions coming in while you've been speaking, Ashley. Thank you for that. So Sarah asked one around gyms, which I've replied to in the chat. So hopefully everyone can see that around online sessions. But I think there's a couple more coming through now. If you can see the chat there, Ashley, I think there's a couple more coming in.
I can't see them.
Okay, so one of the things that's coming in, I don't know what, anyway, sorry. So more of an observation that's come in from one of the panelists more than a question, but a lot of the feedback is that the employees think it's more of just a sort of discount platform purely for the shopping. So I think it's just really an observation to make sure that people know about all the other great wellbeing things that you've talked about today. And it's not just simply a shopping discount app. I think
that's right. It's often the thing that catches people's eyes most of all, because often, you know, that's the thing that we all do every day. We've got to go and spend money to buy our groceries or our new TVs. In my case, this week we're buying broke, or you know, or clothes or whatever it is. You know, it's the essentials of life that we spend money on day in, day out. So it's very eye-catching, the discounts, and obviously there's a value to that to the individual business, because it's a way. In a way, it's the ability to give, for the business to give something to the individual that's potentially worth more than it is in a pay rise sense. You know, the platform is a lot more than that, and hopefully that came through today. That is an important piece, the discounts, but just the ability to, you know, if you've got something going on in your life, and especially at the minute, you know, with bereavements and people being sick, and you know, there's some horrendous stories on the news that I think we all have seen or all have heard about. Having a service like an EAP, where you can literally pick up the phone 24/7, completely anonymously, and get support from trained professional counsellors to support you in those issues, is incredibly powerful. You know, because often as individuals, we're all different. You know, some people want to go and talk to, you know, their parents or their, you know, siblings or their partner about some of the stuff that they're dealing with, and other people just don't. Actually speaking to somebody completely anonymous that you've never met before, but is a trained professional counsellor, is, you know, there are plenty of people out there that prefer to do that, and you know, the support that can give you and what that means to the individual, as well as the business, is very, very powerful. And then, you know, I mentioned the video GP services already. Just the fact that getting a GP appointment these days isn't easy, and having, again, this availability so quickly means that people don't have to take time off work and don't have that anxiety for as long a period. So, you know, yeah, the discounts are important, they're eye-catching, but there's a lot more in the platform than this. So I'm just looking at the next question. Also saying a question on reward recognition. Does this have to cost money, or can it just be a card or a thank you? It can just be a card or a thank you. The ability, you know, if you want to load money into it, so that you want to send a monetary value with the card, you can do that as well, but it can just be a card. So, you know, and you know, the R&R piece doesn't cost anything extra. It's all included in the in the price of the product from Sage, and it's only if you want individual employees to be able to send extra money to them do you need to load that money in. Thank you cards are all included as part of the product set. Anything else?
There's 2 or 3 others coming through, but I'm replying to them directly on the group chat, so hopefully everybody else can see the answers as well. I think the only other one really was around the Cycle to Work scheme, a little bit more about how that works, what the sort of tax and national insurance savings might be at a very top level.
Yeah, so effectively the way it works is we do in conjunction with Halfords, and the way it works is you can the employee can, you know, go to the Halfords website or go into a Halfords store, and actually the Halfords scheme works across a whole load of independent bike shops as well. They can decide what they want to purchase as a bike and associated accessories, figure out how much that is, and then they can effectively ask you as the employer to say, can I have, you know, a voucher for £987.50 or whatever it is, or whatever the amount of money is, for the Cycle to Work scheme. What then happens is that obviously as an employer, you have the option on the platform to approve that and say, yes, they can have that. And then Halfords will deliver a voucher to that individual, say, here's that voucher for the £987.50. They walk into the store with that voucher and use that voucher to purchase the bike and the accessories that they What then happens is then obviously as a business, Halfords will charge you and send the business the bill for the £987.50, but then using your payroll system, which I'm guessing is probably Sage Payroll, or I hope it is Sage Payroll, you can then effectively put a deduction on that employee's salary as part of their, you know, typically a monthly payroll over 24 months that says, right, that £987.50 is now going to be deducted in 24 equal payments over, and it's a gross deduction rather than net deduction. So what that means is the employee is not paying tax. You know, they're saving effectively tax and national insurance on that deduction every month. So in effect, you know, if you're paying 20% tax because you're a 20% taxpayer, you'll be saving 20% plus your NI contribution. If you're a 40% taxpayer, it's 40%, and then you're probably only paying 2% NI. So in total, that's then 42%, which you saw on the slides there. So, you know, it makes a big difference, and, you know, that's why it's not a surprise if any of you have seen the news over, you know, especially in the early part of lockdown at the beginning of this year, especially when the weather was good, everybody was like, great, you know, the only thing I can do, I can't go to the gyms. What can I do? I can go out cycling. Right, I'll get a new bike. Brilliant. I'll use my employer's Cycle to Work scheme, because what it means is effectively I get a bike cheaper than it would cost me normally, which is why, you know, Halfords and the cycle shops have been one of the winners. You know, they've done a roaring trade during this year.
Brilliant, thanks, Ash. There's a couple more coming in here. It looks like you can't see them. So one in from Karen. When we first started using the app, the shop voucher, you could get £100. Why now has it gone to 75? I'm not sure what voucher particularly Karen's talking about there, but does that resonate at all, Ashley? If not, I can message Karen and come back to that one.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, some of the retailers, a good example is Sainsbury's, for example. So Sainsbury's will let you buy e-vouchers pretty much to any value, but they will limit your use of e-vouchers for online shopping deliveries, which is really annoying. So Sainsbury's, I think the limit's like 50 or 60 pounds, I think. Whereas Waitrose take the opposite approach, that I think you've got to spend at least 70 pounds before they'll let you use an e-voucher or a physical card to pay for your online shopping. So there are some restrictions like that. So if it's related to that, it could be the retailer. But maybe if you clarify, give us a bit more detail as to.
Okay. Brilliant. So what I've done, I've emailed Karen on that one. There was a question in here from, I think it's from Zoe. If an e-voucher is bought in error, can it be refunded, please?
Generally, it varies. Generally not, because the T's and C's from the retailer are that effectively once you bought it, that's it. It's effectively like cash. But some of the retailers are more forgiving than others in that sense. So what I would say is if you have bought a voucher in error and you bought the wrong retailer for whatever reason, is give us a call if we can. If the retailer agrees to it, obviously we will refund that voucher. Obviously that voucher, part of the process will be is the retailer will check that voucher hasn't been used. So as long as it is unspent and the retailer agrees to it, then we will allow that as well.
Super, thanks, Ashley. And I have responded to a couple of the questions with the email address and the phone number for the helpline there. So people should have that. There's another question here from Sarah, which I think probably relates to the Cycle to Work scheme, Sarah, but let me know if not. Are there any T's and C's or an agreement in case the employee leaves before this is paid off, or do we need to create our own contract? I'm assuming that relates to the Cycle to Work scheme.
Yeah. This is a very common thing, and it is, and it's one of the reasons why we put it as an optional thing that the business can decide to either switch on or off. It is up to the business to set the T's and C's around that. Typically, what a lot of employers do is they will and this is why there's an approval process. Is they will decide, they'll put policies in that says, you can only apply for Cycle to Work once you pass probation period, because they don't want to be in a situation where if the employee hasn't passed their probation, they take out a cycle, and then for whatever reason, the employer says, actually, this isn't working out, you need to leave. Of course, they've got a bike and spent an awful lot of money. Businesses can also, you can decide as a business, if you do want to put a limit on it as to what's the maximum spend. And typically what most businesses do is put in processes where they say, look, if you leave, then we will recover the outstanding balance of any salary sacrifice from your final pay slip. And that is often, that needs to be made clear to the employees up front when they go for the bike, that look, if you take £1,000 on the bike and you leave in 3 months' time, well, the balance that you owe is going to be taken from your last paycheck. You need to know that as an employee. So yeah, it's up to the individual employers how they set the approvals of those and how they set the T's and C's and how that works. And there's quite a lot of government guidance and support out there on that as well. So, okay.
I think that's pretty much it. There's a couple of people asking about guidance on downloading the app. I'm just about to post the link to the resources page in the chat so everyone can see it. But Ashley, again, if you want to just quickly mention about going to the App Store and how people actually download the app simply, please.
Yeah, so it is as simple as go to the Apple App Store, search for Sage Employee Benefits, or go to the Google Play Store and search for the same. Just download it. If you've already registered online, then it's the same username and password that you use for registering online. If you haven't yet registered, you can actually register directly through the app as well. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's really weird. I can see like 2 or 3 lines of the chat, and I can see, I think Andrew sent a question about cinema tickets through Sage as well. I think, we'll look at that. It'd be good, Andrew, if you can send through the specifics, and we'll see if we can get in contact with you to do that. But what the if the question is about general cinema ticket prices, one of the things that happens is the cinema group, we buy tickets in bulk from the cinema groups at the discount prices, and it's a flat rate anywhere in the country. So we pay, the discounted price for an adult ticket, and that's the same price wherever you use that ticket. But what happens is Cineworld, Odeon, etc., they will set local prices as well. So there are occasions where you get a particular Cineworld in a particular area, and they even price individual films differently, where they will promote a film or promote a particular time of day, where it turns out actually buying the ticket direct at the cinema on that day is cheaper than using one of our discounted tickets. And that's not something that we deliberately do. We're selling the tickets at the price that we pay for them, that we buy in bulk from the cinema providers. It's just the way that the market works. So, I understand sometimes there's frustration around that. All I would say is, when people are, when the cinemas are open again, is to just check the film, the day that they're going, the price that's on the sticker price, and then obviously if it's cheaper to buy a ticket from us and use that ticket, obviously you should do that. But definitely check up front, because sometimes cinemas do have this differential pricing depending on what's going on in their business at that time. Sorry, Vicky, was there another one that you were going to mention, or was that?
No, I think that's all of the questions that are in there. I've posted the link in there to the resources page. In there for everybody, you've got a number of onboarding videos that can help you, and also a link to the welcome booklet. So again, lots and lots of information on there. I think we've answered all of them. I can't see any that we've missed. So unless anybody else has got any last minute questions, we'll give everyone a couple of minutes to see if any more pop in. But we've got about 14 questions there. I think we've answered them all. A couple of people have asked questions where I've sent you my email privately because they're relating to a specific employee that's got tech issues or so on. So I've sent a couple of people my private email. If they want to drop me an email, we can look into that for them. Oh, right, one more just popped in from Elaine. Can you use 2 e-vouchers on the same shop? I guess this probably relates to the earlier question about the £75 limit, potentially.
Yeah, again, it varies by the retailer. So the example that I gave earlier, where my TV broke earlier this week and I bought a new one. Currys do what we refer to as specific denominated vouchers. So you can only buy like a £500 voucher or a £250 voucher or a £100 voucher. And so, the TV I bought was £350. So I bought a £250 voucher, and then a £100 voucher, and then a £50 voucher. And you can apply all 3 of those vouchers to that singular transaction at Currys. So what I would say is it varies retailer by retailer. So some of them, so Currys, for example, I know have a limit of 5. The most you can use is 5 e-vouchers on a singular transaction. Other retailers do different things, and they do change the rules from time to time as well. So on the whole, you can use more than one e-voucher at a time. But just all I'd say is just check before you do it the first time, and then you'll know. So. Okay. Well, let's see. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe that's it, and we're almost out of time.
Brilliant. Well, all I'll say is thank you very much for coming and attending. Hopefully that you learn a little bit more about the product. Hopefully you understand a little bit more about how to think about the product in terms of not just what it does, but the benefits to you as a business, the benefits to your employees. Hopefully you'll keep using it because obviously we love it, but we would think that. But also I'm very keen to get feedback from people. So if there are things that, there's the obvious operational things, if things are not working, we do want to hear those things. But also if there are other things in there that you'd like to see in the app as well going forward in terms of products or services, then we're always keen to get that feedback. So please don't hesitate. So thank you again. Without ado, I'll give you what looks like 6 minutes left, 6 minutes back from the meeting, and I will sign off. But thank you very much again for attending, and hopefully that's useful. I think it's recorded, isn't it, Vicky, this session? So I don't know if we'll make it available to others. But please get in touch with us again if you do want to attend any more sessions.
Super, thanks very much. It is recorded, and yeah, we will be sending it out to everybody once we've had edited that all down. And thank you for everybody for your patience at the start with our technical issues. That was user error on my part. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye bye.